And we're live. Content provided at the events for general information only, not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. Any performance reference is historical, no guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged, may not be invested into directly. Any economic forecast set forth during the event may not develop as predicted, and there can be no guarantee that any strategy will be successful. These thoughts and opinions are those of Gimbal Financial and do not represent the views of LPL Financial. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member of FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Gimbal Financial, registered investment advisor, and separate entity from LPL Financial. And we're here. I don't know if Doug's alphabet repeating or not. Maybe you can clarify.
Doug, what do you got on there?
No, this is not a repeat. Now that would be like me to do, but I actually did think about that this morning, Amanda. As I was picking a shirt, I was like, did I wear that last Friday?
Thankfully.
I did wear a sports coat.
Yeah.
I don't have my Donald Trump hair anymore. I got my hair cut.
I think I got the Donald Trump hair going now with all the wind.
I've got Debbie over my shoulder, and I've got a little glow on my head, but according to Amanda, it's dark in here, but I had to turn the lights off because the little glow was a lot. When I looked in a while ago, it was blinding.
You mean the makeup, the Gimbal Financial makeup artist?
Powder up here.
Well, we are all looking good. It's a great day. It's a beautiful morning. It's crisp.
It's the last day of our open house week, Amanda.
And it's the last day of our welcome week. We are so thankful for everyone that's come through. We are excited to see the faces that are coming by today. But I think I've only been to a few Gimbal events in my day here, but this has by far been my favorite. Really?
What's been your favorite? Why do you like it so much?
I'm the least stressed I've been, which is also really nice. But for me, it's been a great opportunity to get to meet people and put a face with names. And it's really been nice to just have that one-on-one time with a lot of you folks, which has been a blessing to me.
Now, Amanda, I hate to add stress to your equation, but if any of our listeners today wanted to come by, are there still some openings they could swing by today?
Of course. Do we have enough food?
We will have plenty of food.
And of course, we've got the room for it, and we have enough food to feed you. So if you've already even come by again.
That's right. We'd love to see you again. We shut down the grill around 1:30, 2 o'clock, right?
Yep, roughly. If you want to come between 10:30 and 1:30, we'll be here.
Very good.
What else?
Doug, how many days have you had barbecue this week?
Every day. I've gone on the pulled pork brisket diet. It's a new fad. It's a new trend. I'm feeling great. And I would highly recommend all of you try that. Maybe add some coleslaw, some baked beans from time to time for variety's sakes, barbecue chips. But yeah, every day. It's never felt better.
That's awesome. That's good.
We saw a new technique yesterday where someone combined it all onto the brisket. I liked that idea.
Is that Memphis style? What do they call that?
Yeah, it's something like that.
It's 1 on 4. Might try that.
Well, Doug, what's going on out in the real world with the market these days?
Oh, not too much. The real world in the markets. Let's pull up a chart and I'll show you. Okay, so we're live on the NASDAQ here, and as you can see, not much has happened since last Friday. It's just been up, down, and it's trying to stay right around this 50-day moving average. And if you've been a long-time listener of this call, you know that that's an important line. And I would prefer to see it hang out right around that 50, settle down a little bit. And then who knows, maybe some of the leading stocks, some of the leaders that got us here in the first place will create some buying opportunities again. And so we're just kind of hanging out right around that mark. There's not a whole lot that's new this week. Not much has really changed. What are you seeing?
Well, those two basic emotions of fear and greed tend to drive the markets in the short term. And with that, if you can draw a line across your chart there from the 66.31 bottom of the market back in March, right up to the top there in the 12,000 level, you can see the slope of where we've come. That could make a lot of people greedy. And probably when that thing peaked out around 1207 before, I was getting calls from people that they heard of this new stock called Tesla that had only gone up about 5 or 6 fold during that run, and they were wanting to get in on it. And so I think greed kind of allowed that market to throw a lot of those people out with some losses on those kind of uninformed transactions. And then the fear, I think, is what's brewing out there in at least in middle America today. And probably those fears are the primary two things are probably the election that's just a few weeks out and the COVID. What do you think about the election?
Well, we've been getting a lot of questions, increasing numbers on what are we going to do about the election? What are we thinking about our investment strategies for the election? And, Keith and I talk about this all the time, and there's 50% of you are going to be probably pretty thankful, pretty excited come November, and then 50% of you are going to be bummed out. And it's nothing new. And so what we're really trying to do is listen to what the market is telling us, regardless of what the news media or what the presidential hopeful candidates are telling us or promising us. We're really just trying to listen to the market, because the market never lies. And it doesn't really care about your opinions or emotions or your political beliefs. It really just wants to do one thing. It wants to make some money. And so what we're going to be focusing on over the next couple of weeks, going into October, through October, into early November, we'll be just listening to the markets. And if the market's having some of these days like this one, where I'm drawing a line again, where we have selling taking place, we're going to be pretty cautious. And we're going to take advantage of using cash. And sometimes that can be an odd thing. For example, when you see cash inside an IRA, what in the world? Why is that cash there? This is a long-term investment. Well, it's there to protect you. It's also there to give you some opportunity for when things turn around. And so we'll be listening to the market to see what it has to say and acting accordingly. What are your thoughts on the election, COVID, or?
Well, before I move on that, if you could draw a line right there, like on September the 3rd's volume, it's the high one right just left of Labor Day there. One more, keep going, one more. The first of those two lines there. So that line, and then yesterday's volume. So those 2 days are indicators, just looking at the volume, that institutions were selling more than they were buying yesterday. Those, in industry lingo, those are known as distribution days, where people are taking profits. And so that very first distribution date was really before the market dropped considerably. And it's where that spider ETF dropped off the 358.75 level. That very next day is where that first distribution day happened. And as those distribution days start stacking up, it's just telling you that the institutions are not aggressively buying. And really, for any investment we have, we need them to be aggressive buyers rather than sellers. And so I think we have like 6 distribution days in the last 5 weeks from the S&P, and probably 3 or 4 on the NASDAQ right now. So it's just a cautious time in the market, and that's affected, I think, our decisions, helping you with your resources. The other fear, I think, COVID. Let me give you guys some updates. This is what I personally use to kind of check what's really going on. Can you see this COVID-19 tracker? Is that what you see on your screens now?
Yeah.
It is?
Yeah.
Like, this is what's really concerning to me. 163, almost 164,000 U.S. businesses have closed since March the 1st. 164,000 businesses, 98,000 of those have permanently closed. And that's going to cause a lot of challenges for people. And that's I understand health issues. I'm just saying that's going to impact our, investment economic decisions, how that rolls down. These charts are updated every week by the economists we respect quite a bit, Brian Westbury. And I just look at this to see what's going on. I don't really listen to news about it. And so over here on the left, this chart says the blue line tells you the new daily positive tests of COVID. It jumped up right here back in June, because that's when the test became readily available. Has nothing to do with the number of real new COVID people. It just, that's when the test became readily available. And you can see that the positive tests have dropped off. Ironically, like, I think college students right now are having to get a test once a month. So there's a lot more tests being done, and we're seeing a decline in the positives. The orange line here, unfortunately, is daily deaths. And I hate for this number to be anything, but it has dropped off dramatically from where it was back in the cold and flu season of March timeframe. Over here, it gives you an indication of how different vaccines are coming along, where they're at in the testing. Can you see this? Can you see this chart right here where it shows total COVID deaths by age group? Is that what you see on your screens now?
We do.
Okay. So total COVID deaths for babies in the United States is 20. And this number right next to it is total under 1-year-old deaths in the United States year to date, and that's 11,000. So COVID is not really a contributor to the deaths of youngsters in a significant manner. I'm not making light of these 20 people. I'm just saying that there's a lot of other factors that are at risk for the infants. And so as you get over to my age group over here, there's going to be 250,000 people that are going to die or have died this year in my age group, and less than 10% of those have died from COVID. And the CDC even says that number is less than that, because all the deaths that are reported, like 90% of the deaths reported of COVID, have some other contributing factor. So I'm in a higher risk here. You can see the little orange actually starts to jump up considerably, but the real risk is these people 75 to 85 and older. There's 1 million people in that age range who have died year to date already, 1.1 million, and 100,000 or less than 10% of those people have died from COVID. So to me, it helps put the numbers that I hear in perspective of a bigger thing, that we have naturally people 75 to 84 are dying. How many of these are accelerated because of COVID? And so it's not as significant as others would have us to believe sometimes. And then if you compare the data from the worst pandemic of the last century or so, the numbers, you can see over here with the Spanish flu that the young under 1, they were just as high a risk as these 85-plus-year-olds were. And so that's just raw data of putting it in perspective rather than just looking at the pure numbers of people, because we have over 320 million people in America. So there's a lot of crazy things happening in big numbers that we wouldn't even attach meaning to. I'm going to show you one other thing that was a bit disturbing to me this week with relation to COVID. I don't know if you all saw this or not. I didn't see it in a lot of news publications, but I guess yesterday, Nashville bars, restaurants can open to 50% capacity and stay open till 11 p.m. Brand new news that this happened yesterday. What the news was that was the catalyst of this is that the mayor of Nashville had not been showing true data to the people, and very few of the COVID-related problems that were going on in Nashville were caused by the bars and the nightclubs and the restaurants. And they had that data as recently as June and buried it. They were sending internal emails to not disclose this information. And so that is a little disheartening for us as citizens to know that our politicians are not being honest about things where they have factual data. And so you can go read about that you can read about what the mayor of Nashville did on your own free time. But I wanted you to see how that related to the number of businesses that have been forced closed since the government's really kind of been very aggressive in the way they've treated this. So yeah, it's the concern. It's a fearful thing anytime a illness comes along. But I was talking to a friend and a client yesterday, and relative to our ages, we were talking about possible sicknesses that we should personally pay attention to. And I pointed out to him that I'm not a big vaccine person. I don't tend to get a lot of, I had all the, the childlike vaccines, but I don't get the flu vaccine. I feel healthy enough. I haven't done that. However, I'm about 100% sure I will get the, gosh, what is that? Shingles vaccine. And so for me personally, if there were a COVID vaccine today compared to shingles, I probably wouldn't be the first to get the COVID, but I guarantee you there's a good chance I'm going to get a shingles. I don't know if any of you have ever had shingles, but I've never heard anything good about shingles. And so that vaccine motivates me to action. So that's my thoughts on kind of the anxiety. And I think a lot of the anxiety out there has been created by just varying political opinions on both sides of the table.
This week, as we've had people over to Gimbal, I've been asking folks as we've been talking, if a vaccine were out today, would you get it? And I would say about half said yes. And
Yeah.
again, I go back to that, and it's not so binary as yes and no. We all know that. But, half of us are going to do something, half of us aren't. And, I'm sitting downtown Carmel right now. I was here a couple nights ago with my family having dinner. And one of the things that I was just thinking about, of all the people I was thinking about this 50-50, we're half this way and half that way. But the people that really caught my attention were there's a lot of people out walking their dogs. I'm a dog person. I have a son who just loves dogs. I bet he petted 20 dogs that night. And the dog of the day, by the way, I saw a shepherdoodle, I think is what she called it. It's this great big tall, some type of big shepherd poodle mix. But I was thinking just about the dignity of life and just how important it is to recognize and respect people. And we've been tearing each other down through social media because that's an easy thing to do, or it's an easy thing to say, hey, this person, that person, they're this way, they believe that. But you have more in common with people than you know, and sometimes it just takes a dog to make that introduction happen. And I trace this back to business. I grew up in Muncie, Indiana. In Muncie, Indiana, there was this business that I always admired off Main Street, and it was called Unitog. You ever heard of Unitog, Keith?
No, I haven't.
Amanda, you ever heard of Unitog?
No.
They were called Midwest Towel even before that. Today they are called this. I'll show you a picture. This is not an endorsement to go buy this stock, by the way, but this is what they're called. Do you see that?
I don't. Oh, there we go. Nice.
Ah, okay.
I had to take this picture because it was also next to this hand sanitization station, which I thought was great because this truck, what are these guys all about? They're about cleaning stuff and they're about making things look nice. And so I always admired this company because they would go in, they would take the mats, they would take the uniforms. They started off taking greasy rags from factories and cleaning them and making them new. And I was just pondering them because there's so much dignity in what they do. They keep stuff looking nice. They keep it fresh. And And I love that. And so as you're going through your business life, maybe it's life with your kids, maybe it's just you and your spouse, maybe it's just you, your neighbor next door. I want to encourage you to look for the dignity in that person, because I think what you're going to find when you do that, when you're looking for the dignity in their life, is you're going to be treated with respect too. And this is a season where we're really going to need that. And so as we look to the culture, entertainment and culture, whether you're 5 to 50, 7 to 70, 90 to 10, 10 to 100, 10 to 100, that's 10, 100, that's something we don't say. But I would just look for the dignity in their lives. I mean, we were trying to watch an NFL game the other day, and the commercials on the NFL game, like I'd have to like mute it every time, because my 7-year-old, I don't want him seeing some of this movies and stuff that's out there. Maybe I'm just square, but there's not a whole lot of dignity in that. And so I just encourage you to get outside, go for a walk, check out the Monon. If you need a great place to start and a great place to finish on the Monon, where you can see some dogs, just shoot me a message and I'll give you a starting place that you could drive to and end. But anyway, that's my lecture of the day, is looking for the dignity in life.
Well, there's a lot of it out there, Doug. I think what makes it even challenging today, and I have a handmade mask, but it's sometimes the mask even makes that hard to have a conversation with people, because a lot of times you just see the eyes. But if you do smile behind your mask, this is an old cold caller trick. We always smiled when we do the dialing and smiling. And so if you just smile behind your mask, it is represented in your eyes. And so, and I've noticed, I don't know if y'all have noticed, there's Doug he's safe today, but if you notice a
He's
mask.
Smiling.
He is. I saw his eyes. But what I've noticed culturally is a mask is like the windows in your car. Have you ever noticed that people think their windows in their car make them invisible, or you can't see them? And the mask is the same way. People have a hard time making eye contact with the mask. And so I think part of that dignity is to be one that'll smile behind your mask and make eye contact, and even a kind word. I mean, it's a lot easier as an introvert to even talk with a mask on to somebody, because you might feel like you're protected a little bit more. I annoy my family because when we go to a store or something, I feel more empowered to yell for them with my mask on. So I'll be walking through the grocery yelling for Connie. She doesn't appreciate it much, but the mask does offer an opportunity to bring some dignity to the lives of others.
That is some good stuff. I know Keith's doing a little something extra on the weekends. We make him work on Saturdays, so thank you, Keith. But he's sharing some of his experience as a young investor. And if you guys are curious out there, if you have grandkids, if you have kids, if you are a young investor, let us know. We'll add you to our email list. And they are bright and early, but we're giving them a test run. So
how early are they?
9 a.m. on Saturday mornings.
But that's young. It's not just
pretty sad that that's early.
Well, we'd like to have some young at hearts along with the people that think that's early, you know?
Yeah, there's no age minimum. There's no age maximum. You'd come as you please. And
what are you focusing on with that?
Last week, I went through the very first 3 stocks that I bought and pointed out how little I knew and how amazing it was I held on to them for even a year. I just went through, you know how on our Market Smith, Doug, you can go day by day. I went day by day after my original purchases and just showed that nothing happened. And there wasn't an internet even to look at them. Then you had to get out the paper and look at the price. And they basically did nothing for like 90 days. And it was like, nobody educated me to investing or anything. And so how I even held on to them for 90 days, maybe the reason I held on to them because they probably had like a 3 or 4% commission to get into them, which isn't necessarily the case anymore, but it was a pretty funny experience.
That's very cool. I was looking at stock managers of the past last week myself, and there's some really great things to learn from people making decisions. I know a lot of you have 401ks where you might own a mutual fund or something like that. And there are decisions being made every day in that mutual fund. And so there are some really great people out there. I'm not endorsing this fund in particular, but like I think about Shelby Davis. He was a person who was a decision maker, or Peter Lynch. And you can learn a lot from these folks about how to buy and sell and what to do in different markets. And so I think that type of education is going to be a lot of fun, Keith. I think we're probably going to meet a lot of interesting people too that way.
Well, I was studying a little bit of Jack Dreyfus, and I can't even remember Newberger's name this morning, if that tells any of you guys how boring Doug and I are. Hey, can we get a cup of coffee with you guys? Hey, I had a question.
That's pretty funny.
I had a question from a longtime listener named Chet from Indy this week, and I'm trying to think how to question the cynical part of me. He kind of said, I'm a graduating senior, what should I do? And he wasn't talking about high school or college. He is a senior adult. And I know that's probably not the most compassionate way to express.
I'm really proud of him for graduating.
He's not. He's preparing for graduation. Is kind of what he said. His wife wife was with him, and she got to meet my daughter Kelly, and that was Kelly's highlight of dinner that night. But he was talking about what are some of the things we should be doing to make our situation more efficient and clean. And I'd throw out, if he's happens to be on the show today, I'd throw out get your will out of wherever you keep it and just blow the dust off of it. Sit down, read it to make sure it still makes sense to you. That's what I do first.
Hey, Keith, let me throw something in there about the will. Past performance does not equal future results. So if you've had a family member and had a bad experience with a will, it doesn't mean that your experience is going to be bad too. It just means you got to dial it in.
That's right. That's right. And so that's what I would do. First of all, I would do that. I'd read it because nothing against our attorney friends, but they don't have a gift in communicating things in a fun and an easy way to read. Secondly, I would keep the information accessible. I think we talked about that in the last couple of weeks, that there's a lot of things that are important to have available in an orderly way. And we've got a book that we put together called the Survivor's Guide, and we're happy to send that to you if you don't have a copy, but it kind of talks about organizing things. The third thing that comes to mind is that you have assets in a couple different buckets. You've got those things that will pass by your will or your trust, and then you got those that will pass by title or beneficiary designation. You can move a lot of it over here to the title or beneficiary designation, and we can sure coach you through that along with your estate specialist and just help you to make things as efficient as possible. And then this is probably the one that I would, I think this one, with my own life experiences, if I had to say, this is the most important thing you should do with all your estate documents, is take out that power of attorney document that you might have. If you don't have it, today's a good day to do it. And if today doesn't work, tomorrow is the next best day. And then Monday, and then Tuesday, and then Wednesday. If you don't have that document, we have that, I think, for every single one of our kids. I think Caleb has it, because if students are going to college and there's a problem down there, and you don't have a power of attorney and they're an adult, you can't do anything for them. So you need a power of attorney. Well, if you have this power of attorney document and you've never told the person that is going to be executing it that they are the power of attorney, that's a problem, because they may not even know that they have that. But secondly, you need to sit down with them and tell them exactly what you expect them to do, because I've not been involved with too many situations where it's time for the person to act on the power of attorney where they've actually been empowered by the individual. It becomes very disturbing of a process for most people, because they have to force their way into a situation that really needs attention immediately, but the other person hasn't welcomed them into that role yet. So I would sit down with that person and welcome them into the role of power of attorney.
Yeah, and I know we're pressing on time here, but along that same line, if you need us to help you in that process and just be part of the conversation, we'd love to be the consultant for you, with you and your family, in a family meeting, and we can talk about some of these things and help make the complex a little more simple.
That's a great point. Amanda, have we used all our time up?
I was going to say, on that note, I smell the grill going. I think our time is up. The grill is calling. Thanks so much. And we'll see you all next week.
Whether you stopped by this week or whether you're just on, we are thankful for you. So thanks a lot for being a great client for us.
We appreciate it. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.